you, much like me, are a big Star Wars nerd. And in fact, I think you might be a bigger Star Wars nerd even than I am. Tell me about your Star Wars obsession.
Um, well, I've always sort of thought I was born in sort of the perfect year because I'm 1970. So Star Wars for me was age 7, which it doesn't get any better than that, I honestly think. And in fact, I waited till my daughter was 7 years old to show her Star Wars. I actually own a print of it and actually rented out a theater for all our friends and showed her an original cut of Star Wars non-special edition on a big screen so that she would see it the same way I did as a kid in New York City. And I have just, obviously I write comedy, but it's a big part of, I think, sort of why I kind of got into sort of, a creative field, and I have just been in love with it. I'm a collector. I collected the toys as a kid, the comics. I now have original comic art and also actual movie props from the original trilogy. And I love it to death.
We're going to get to that in just a moment.
Big influence, yeah.
You sent me some really interesting pictures. First of all, I want to talk about your book that you did back in 2016.
Oh,
I'm going
yeah.
to put it up on the screen right now.
This was one of the few times, although this is, I guess, the same as you getting to write a movie. This is me at least getting to sort of do something in my real life a little bit, connecting to my passion, which is myself, my friend Brandon Allinger and Wade LaJose. We did basically the definitive Ralph McQuarrie art book. We went through the Lucasfilm archives. We re-photographed things that needed being photographed, but the book basically has every single piece of art that was sort of at the archives, plus stuff we found in other collections, interviews, old interviews with Ralph that hadn't been seen in a while, new interviews with people that worked with Ralph. It is the definitive, really, history of Ralph McQuarrie and his influence, not just on those original Star Wars films, but as we've gone into these new, the new films, both in terms of movies like yours, where I think they pulled old designs out, but also unused designs, which have been used in some of the new movies too. And he just was an incredible talent that really, I think, helped George Lucas define that sort of used space look, that look and feel, that really kind of why Star Wars was so unique and different and stood out from, traditional ways of looking at sort of space movies at the time. And it was just so fun working on this book, just to just be up at the archives, running free and looking through art and stuff. It was amazing.
Ralph McQuarrie, yeah, absolutely. Of course, one of the pivotal characters in the creation of Star Wars, and why it's still so influential today. To this day, they still pull old Ralph art and like reinvent it and find new ways to use it.
There's definitely stuff. I mean, even in the J.J. Abrams movie, there's a couple, 3 or 4 things where you're just like, oh, they pulled that out of unused Ralph drawings. So his sketches, just stuff, the unused stuff, is still, for lack of a better word, paying dividends.
Because they love to go back and use that stuff because they feel like they're paying tribute to the origins of Star Wars, and rightly so. I think I worked on Star Wars Rebels for 2 seasons. I believe I'm right in saying the character of Zeb was actually based on an unused original concept for Chewbacca. I wrote an episode.
Kind of, it's like almost like a closer to like a monkey version of Chewbacca, and yes, exactly. That was sort of one of the early drawings. I think when like Luke was a girl, and and like Han Solo had a beard. In one of those really early versions, and that's what Chewbacca looked like. And that's stuff like that I just love about both his work, and I think is one of the cool things that they do sort of in the Star Wars universe.
They do it all the time, and it's wonderful. I wrote an episode of Star Wars Rebels that had a particular kind of droid in it, and for the droid they went back and they resurrected one of the original unused concepts for C-3PO. And the great thing about it is all the Star Wars fans that are watching are all hardcore enough to watch the episode and go, oh my god, that's an original McQuarrie unused C-3PO. Like, they all get the references.
Yeah, I mean, it's the best kind of sort of whatever you want to call it. I guess best Easter egg kind of reference, where if you don't know, it's a robot, it's cool, it's fine, it's good, it's not hurting anything, you're not enjoying it less. But when you're watching it, if you do know, it's a little, oh, cool, it's a little extra moment for you,
yeah,
without hurting the larger thing.
As
So,
yeah,
really,
we both went through those Star Wars, those Lucasfilm archives at the Skywalker Ranch back in the day. I actually have my own story related to this in McQuarrie. I was there with Gareth, and we were going through all the the props, and Gareth and I would like pick up at something and say, is this the one that was actually used in the movie? And eventually the curator of the museum got tired of answering the question and said, look, you can stop asking. If it's here, it's the one that was used in the movie. We don't have like replicas here. These are all the original ones. And we were just blown away by that. And I remember the thing that got, I was blown away by the props. The thing that got me was the props. The thing that got Gareth was when he got to go to the, there's these, you'll have seen these massive drawers that you open up with these big artworks in them. And Gareth was, because he idolized McQuarrie, he was getting quite misty-eyed looking at, because they were the originals. And it was just incredible to see this history right there in front of you.
No, I mean, George Lucas was so smart about basically establishing these archives. So you're just opening drawers and it's the McQuarrie stuff. But by the way, it's also like you can open some drawers and the Steranko Indiana Jones concept pieces are in another drawer. You know what I mean? And then you go to your left and there's costumes, and you go over here and there's lightsabers. I mean, and the ship models. I mean, I honestly, if I could have figured out a way to murder them all and back a truck up and take it all, I would have, but I couldn't figure out how to do it.